It's renowned as the most exotic island chain in the world. Pristine sands, azure blue seas, and colourful reefs make Zanzibar a much-loved holiday destination. But it's also home to some of nature's most bizarre creatures. Many have grown to enormous sizes and now roam wild throughout the archipelago, whilst marine giants patrol the island shores. Zanzibar is an untamed wilderness. Zanzibar is a land of giants. Lying 40 kilometers off the east coast of Tanzania, in Africa, the Zanzibar archipelago is dominated by two islands, Unguja and Pemba. Unguja is the larger of the two, measuring just over 80 kilometers long and 30 wide. Around 110,000 years ago, the Indian Ocean sea levels began to drop. Enormous fossilized coral reefs were revealed, giving birth to Zanzibar and the many smaller islands surrounding its coast. Isolated from the mainland, many of the species here have evolved unique characteristics. But what makes Zanzibar such an extraordinary group of islands is many of the creatures here are giants of their kind. Zanzibar's ocean holds one of the world's greatest giants. Whale sharks are the largest fish in the sea. They can grow to over 20 meters and weigh up to 34 tons. That's more than 5 African elephants. Although dwarfing everything in their wake, luckily for most sea-dwelling creatures, they survive on some of the smallest organisms in the ocean, plankton. Known as filter feeders, they can sift over 6,000 litres of water an hour. Fine filters, also known as gill rakers, trap any organism over 2 millimeters wide. Most species of shark wave their tails to propel themselves. However, whale sharks are unique in moving their entire bodies from side to side. They remain close to the surface, and their top speed is a modest 5 kilometers per hour. It isn't just giants that are attracted to these plankton blooms. Smaller fish also move in to feed. Although the fish aren't the whale shark's prey, there is a downside to dining with giants. These fishermen know that where there's a whale shark, there are also fish to be caught. Wasting no time, they head straight to the shark. But battling against the waves is tough work in their small dugout canoe. Luckily for them, whale sharks spend vast amounts of time feeding at the surface. So time is on their side. Casting their net right in its wake is a guarantee for a good catch. It would normally take a whole day to land a haul of this size. But guided by their whale shark neighbor, the fishermen's nets are soon full. Traveling further down the reef, another giant looms. Of the 400 or so species of ray, the manta is the largest. These alien-looking creatures can grow to an incredible 7 meters across and weigh as much as 2 tons. They lead solitary lives and only come together in large numbers under certain conditions. These manta rays have traveled far to this section of the reef for a special service. This cleaning station provides the opportunity for a good once-over from attentive cleaner fish. Flashes of blue and yellow advertise their presence. And the clients happily flood into the ocean's very own beauty salon. But before the manta rays take up this service, they need to form an orderly queue. Individuals size one another up by swimming parallel to the reef. Once a hierarchy is established, they take turns swooping into the station. Each species of cleaner fish nibbles a different section to reduce competition. This mutually advantageous relationship means the fish are provided with a steady supply of food, and the manta skin is free of dead cells and parasites. These sessions can last up to 3 hours, and once thoroughly scrubbed, the manta rays leave the salon and head back to the deep. Just like the whale sharks, these graceful giants pose no threat to other fish. They are also filter feeders, and when plankton blooms, everyone joins in the feeding frenzy. Filtering large volumes of water, they funnel the miniature prey into their gaping mouths. A single manta can sieve up to 17 kilos of plankton a day. barrel rolling is a quick way of returning to a particularly dense patch of food. These flowing movements have meant people often describe the manta rays as the ballerinas of the ocean. But there is another, less obvious giant living here in the ocean. It can stretch over 90 kilometers and has been growing for over 50 million years. It's the coral reef itself, a living seascape made up of millions of tiny plant-like animals known as coral polyps. Together, they act as a single supersized organism. Secreting calcium carbonate from their base, the polyps form complex and striking sculptures. Colonies grow over thousands of years, eventually joining other communities to become a reef. Zanzibar hosts some of the most spectacular coral gardens in the world. And over 90% of East Africa's hard coral species are found here. These rainforests of the sea are the heart of the entire underwater ecosystem. Anemones, sea cucumbers, eels, and an array of tropical fish make this underwater Eden their permanent home. So this coral reef is the most important giant in Zanzibar's ocean. Moving out of the ocean onto Zanzibar's beaches, there is far more here than meets the eye. At low tide, shore-dwelling ghost crabs appear and have an important job to do. They are excavators of the pristine sandy beaches as they maintain their burrows. This is tough work though, and burns huge amounts of energy. So having food aplenty is essential. Algae and fungus scraped off filtered sand particles forms the bulk of this crab's diet. Feeding is a production line process, leaving sand pellets dotted along the shore. But the crab is not alone. It's a black heron, and it's on the lookout for a meal. The crabs take cover, hoping not to be spotted. And luckily, this time, the heron had bigger fish to fry. There is also another crab species living here, and mealtimes prove a little more challenging. Adult male fiddler crabs have an oversized claw. It's the violin-playing motion while eating that has given rise to their name. Female fiddler crabs are better balanced than males and cause quite a stir whenever they venture among the boys. This frantic waving is all about catching the eye of a passing lady. The faster the rhythm, the better the chance of being noticed and outdoing the competition. Females prefer fast wavers, and this male has struck the right chord as his conquest enters the burrow. Other females prefer the safety of mating outside their own burrow, so they can retreat at any point. For male fiddler crabs, size also matters when it comes to protecting territory. Shows of strength like these deter neighbors from cramping their style and also keep potential squatters at bay. As the new tide approaches, it's a scramble to retreat to safety underground. The stranded risk being swept out to sea and drowning with the rising water. With such high stakes, those who've wandered too far from their burrows muscle in on someone else's hard-earned home. It's a constant fight for survival for these coastal residents. The turning of Zanzibar's tides governs the lives of many creatures, but certain life forms have set up permanent home on dry land. Just off Unguja Island lies Chumba, just 1 kilometer long and 300 meters wide. It's here a fossilized coral has formed in the region's bedrock. Due to this, Chumba's forest is home to a highly specialized plant community that survives without any groundwater. Giant roots spread out in all directions, and smaller species cling to any surface they can. Many plants and trees get their water from the humid air. Others, like the baobab, stockpile reserves during the rainy season. To store this much water, the baobab trunk can be up to 10 meters wide, and they can grow up to 20 meters tall. These trees can live for hundreds of years, with some of the oldest being over 1,000 years old. They are the green giants within Zanzibar's unique forests. 40 kilometers north of Unguja is where the other dominant island of Zanzibar lies. Pemba is unlike the other islands of the archipelago, a true landmass with rolling hills and forested valleys, earning it the name the Green Island. Here, a unique canopy resident lives. the Pemba flying fox. A giant of its kind, it is renowned for its very sweet tooth. Flying foxes are the largest species of bat in the world, with a wingspan in excess of 1.5 meters. Most other bats use acute hearing to capture insects, but flying foxes are fruit bats and rely on their large eyes to track down their meals. Blossom, nectar, and ripe fruit make up the majority of their diet. These bats are highly social, so they live in large groups with up to 850 individuals living in one roost. But with your neighbors in such close proximity, small conflicts can arise. When night falls, the reason for these large groups starts to become clear. The flying foxes head out on their nightly exodus to find food. Splitting up amongst the forest means they can cover a large area. They use their loud calls to communicate about specific feeding sites, working as a team to make sure everyone gets their fair share of food. These flying foxes are incredibly important for the whole forest ecosystem, as they are the pollinators and seed dispersers of many plants. 20 years ago, these giant bats were virtually hunted to extinction by local islanders. But today, the species is protected. The Pemba people realize the important role the bats play in keeping the region's forests alive. While the bats are helping out here, there is another mammal that causes nothing but trouble. Vervets are medium-sized monkeys that hang around in troops of up to 50. Vervet youngsters are nursed for approximately 4 months. The school of hard knocks starts early in Vervet society. And this troop are up to no good. Fruits, berries, and leaves make up a large part of this monkey's diet. But one of their favorite foods is cassava. This starchy, tuberous root is full of carbohydrates and is one of the most drought-tolerant crops on the planet. After rice, cassava is also the second most important food crop throughout Zanzibar. Because of this, protecting their precious fields is a constant battle for Pemba's farmers. The vervets realize they've been spotted and scramble back to the trees. The farmers have managed to scare them off this time, but these mischievous monkeys will soon be back for more. It's not just the vervets and the flying foxes that make Pemba special. One of the rarest primates in the world has also made this island its home. Isolated from mainland Africa over 10,000 years ago, the Zanzibar red colobus monkey has evolved to become a distinct species. Its color and some of its habits are unique. Feeding is a group activity and begins in the early morning. Zanzibar's red colobus are fond of unripe berries and seeds. Unlike many primates, their stomachs can't digest the sugars contained in these more mature fruits. So for their main source of food, the red colobus are leaf eaters. Leaves are highly nutritious, but most animals are unable to digest the cellulose that makes up plant cell walls. Colobus monkeys have a solution. They have a four-chambered stomach, like many hoofed animals, which enables bacteria to ferment and break down what they eat. After an hour or so of munching, it's time to rest. Their peculiar digestive system makes them one of the laziest monkeys on Earth, resting for 70% of the time they're awake. Like most other monkeys, young red colobus continue suckling for around 18 months. Energy from their mother's milk is quickly converted. So this means not all members of this troop are sleepy. While the grown-ups take a nap, the youngsters decide it's time to play. For an adult red colobus monkey, grabbing a peaceful 40 winks is easier said than done. Alongside the annoying antics of the troop's teenagers, the process of digesting large volumes of leaves creates a rather unfortunate byproduct. While the Pemba canopy has a rather unique smell. Back on Nguja Island, the colobus in Jazani Forest have discovered a genius way to clear the air by putting a stop to their ongoing flatulence problem. Instead of sitting around feeling bloated after a belly full of leaves and fruit, these monkeys are on a mission. They single out their target. And wait for the right moment to strike. Without warning, they launch their attack. It's a constant battle for the island's charcoal sellers. Here in Jazani, red colobus have long worked out that eating charcoal aids the digestion of exotic leaves. This learned behavior is passed down from mother to young through imitation. But how they first developed this craving for charcoal remains a mystery. What is known is it is completely unique to Nguja's troops and seen nowhere else on Earth. It's not just the colobus monkeys that have made Jazani their home. A vast array of unique and colourful species bring this forest to life. And there is also another species of primate that enjoys the canopy life. The Sykes monkey. And these guys will eat just about anything. Leaves, ripe fruits and flowers, insects, and even small vertebrates. However, not every prey makes an easy picking. And this monkey soon realizes it's bitten off more than it can chew. These are Zanzibar's giant carpenter ants. Measuring almost 2 centimeters in length, their giant mandibles mean they also have a giant bite. When threatened, they will put up a strong defensive fight that can scare off even the largest predators. But the giant carpenter ants aren't the only animals here on Zanzibar that are the giant mini-beasts of their kind. The island is famous for them. This is the giant millipede. At up to 30 centimeters in length, they are the largest species found anywhere on Earth. With hundreds of legs, they move through the forest in a wave-like motion. These legs are not used for speed, but for power, to dig through the soil, debris, and the bark of any decaying tree. And as night falls, these millipedes are heading out on their nightly exodus to find food. But you don't need hundreds of legs to be a giant here. Measuring over 15 centimeters in length, the giant African snail is the largest in the world. Its body is all muscle, so strong it uses contractions to move this giant through the forest. The 2 large tentacles on the snail's head contain their eyes, but this isn't the snail's most important sense. Unlike us, they don't have a nose. It's their lower tentacles that they use to track down food. Containing olfactory neurons at the tips, these are their smell sensors. Their shell is their main defense from predators. So important, it can even repair any minor crack. It is able to do this by consuming calcium, which it finds in bones from carcasses, sand, and small stones. It then secretes it into the shell, keeping it in pristine condition. They may look harmless, but as one of the most invasive species on Earth, this is one giant not to be messed with. And it's certainly too much of a mouthful for this flap-necked chameleon. He's on the hunt for something a lot smaller. He's hungry for crickets. Moving among the branches is where this chameleon is most happy and most likely to find its prey. But then he spots a rival chameleon. Immediately, his skin turns darker and the black spots turn bright yellow. He begins to rock from side to side in an attempt to intimidate the trespassing male and stop him from stealing his cricket prey. Like all chameleons, their eyes are on cone-shaped turrets that can move independently. This enables them to look in two directions at once, so no cricket can escape their deadly stare. We will win. But these rivals seem to have locked onto the same cricket. We will win. It's a race to the finish. As once spotted, prey is caught by a tongue that can accelerate 5 times faster than a fighter jet. Fortunately for both males, at this time of year, crickets are abundant, so there is plenty of food to go round. And once the prey is snared in its sticky mucus tongue and locked in the vacuum created by muscles in the tip, there is no escape. Back on the coast, there's a reptile that is making the most of one of the most abundant food sources surrounding the island: seaweed. The green turtles love floating in the lagoons, feasting on any that comes too close. Measuring over 1 meter long, they tip the scales at around 200 kilos. When young, these amphibious reptiles feed on jellyfish, shrimps, and small fish. But during adulthood, these green giants become strictly vegetarian. Apart from when nesting, green turtles rarely come ashore. But it is inland where a reptile of giant proportions lives. It is found on Canggu Island, less than 5 kilometers away from the mainland. It weighs over 250 kilos and has a shell nearly 1.5 meters long. It's the Aldabra tortoise, one of the largest in the world. It's one of the longest lived animals too. Some live for over 200 years. Giant tortoises feed mainly on grasses and woody plants. Whenever these aren't within reach, dried leaves will do. This crunchy meal contains very little moisture. So Aldabra tortoises draw on a special method to rehydrate their enormous frames. The fat stored beneath their shells can be converted to water. Burning these reserves releases fluid during the hottest parts of the day and prevents them from becoming dehydrated. Canggu's giant tortoises can survive without water for long periods. But for creatures less fortunate, another location provides a permanent wetland. On Zanzibar's Unguja Island, the shoreline boundary isn't clearly defined. Small estuaries venture into forests, forming a unique relationship between land and sea. Mangroves thrive in saline coastal habitats. A complex system of aerial roots enables the intake of oxygen and traps organic debris that would otherwise be washed out to sea. These tidal swamps provide a breeding ground and a nursery for several species of fish and invertebrates. Many of these will head out into the surrounding reefs and seabeds when adults. Heading inland from this mangrove is the largest reserve of mature woodland on the entire archipelago. Living fossils, like this cycad tree, have remained almost unchanged for millions of years, with a lineage stretching back beyond the dinosaurs. Similar to pine trees, this species doesn't produce any flowers. However, unlike their relatives, each cycad tree produces only male or female seed cones. These colourful structures can be up to 1 meter long and weigh over 30 kilos. It's no wonder even herb-loving dinosaurs became such giants too. As night falls over the islands, some of Zanzibar's most unique animals appear from the shadows. This is no ordinary rat. At almost 1 meter in length, it's one of the largest in the world. Known as the giant pouched rat, it's able to store vast amounts of food in its expandable cheeks. Its eyesight is very poor, but is compensated for by an excellent sense of smell and hearing. Its giant nose is so sensitive, scientists have begun using this species to sniff out landmines and detect human diseases, such as tuberculosis. But right now, this rat is using its nose to track down insects, termites, fruit and vegetable matter, all of its favorite kinds of food. But there is another giant living in Zanzibar that is like no other. It's the world's biggest creepy crawly, and it too reveals itself in the cover of darkness. Weighing over 4 kilos and with a leg span of up to 1 meter, the coconut crab is the world's largest land-living invertebrate. It's actually a giant hermit crab, and while it's young, it carries another creature's abandoned shell on its back for protection. But when fully grown, it develops a tough outer skin. It stays hidden during the day to reduce water loss from heat. But at night, this solitary stalker heads off in search of its favorite food: coconuts. Unlike most of its relatives, the coconut crab can't survive in water. It would drown if submerged. Its gills have evolved to work like lungs, although they need to be kept moist in order to function. Its antennae have also evolved, enabling it to pick up airborne scents the same way insects do. And this forest forager is onto something. Also known as the robber crab or palm thief, coconut crabs are great climbers. They can't cut down coconuts by themselves. However, fallen fruits are quickly seized upon. Although the surrounding sea is a no-go zone for these land-based giants, it wasn't always that way. They started life in the water. A female coconut crab makes her way to the shore. She's been carrying a batch of eggs glued to her abdomen for 2 months. At high tide, they're ready to be released. On contact with water, the eggs hatch immediately. The juvenile giants will eventually make their way ashore. They live a hermit's life before becoming permanent dry land residents, completing the cycle of Zanzibar's greatest giant. Zanzibar is an island paradise. And its isolation has seen Zanzibar's creatures evolve and grow. Many mainland species are forced to remain small to escape predators. But island animals have an easier life. Abundant food, less competition, and fewer predators have had a positive effect. They've allowed Zanzibar and its many islands to become a land of giants.